God bless that man, Young Koo. The Atlanta Falcons have barely clutched their way into victory against the New Orleans Saints. Final score of the game was 26-24. This was yet again another nail-biting one, where it's like, it was anyone's game until that man, one man alone, came in by the name of Young Koo. He came in, and he was like, you know what? I think we need to win. So let me go ahead, get this field goal, and we got ourselves the victory. But before we go any further, let's go ahead and go to the stats. Actually, no. Before we get to the stats, I want to address something that this man, Raheem Morris, said. After the game, he went on a post-game press conference, and this man was asked about Kyle Pitts not having any plays outside of that one that got overturned. And this man, Raheem, said that stats are for losers. You heard that right. And, to me, this is pretty telling in a lot of ways, but before we do that, let's go to the stats. Let's loserify myself. So first we had Kirk Cousins, who, after returning in a pretty mediocre effort today, he completed 21 of 35 with a completion rating of 60%. He threw 238 yards, but he also threw one interception and no touchdowns. Tyler Algier, he was the leading rusher today instead of Bijan Robinson. He had 8 carries, 2 receptions, and a total of 80 yards. And let me talk about Bijan Robinson a little bit. He had 7 carries for only 28 yards. Now, when it came to his receptions, he had 4 receptions and 46 yards. Now, this is pretty telling to me because before the season, we were hyping up Bijan Robinson to have like a godlike sophomore year of being in the NFL because his rookie year was super explosive. However, as these games go on, Bijan's momentum seemed to be dwindling little by little. Not saying he's a bad player, but it's clear to me that Tyler Algier is the better rusher. Not saying there's not benefits to someone like Bijan. Like, obviously, he still, even though he's had explosive years, he still has time to develop. But the point I'm trying to make is we need to focus on what's going to help us now. And, later on down the line, we can begin to try to see what we can do or what Bijan can do to get back to that state he was at in rookie year. I'm really hoping that rookie year isn't where he peaks. That's just kind of my concern. As for these other stats right here, we have Drake London. He has 6 receptions and 64 yards, and he's also the one that got on a jersey right here. Darnell Mooney, he had 3 receptions and 56 yards. And Kyle Pitts, as I've said before, he had 1 touchdown that got overturned by a holding penalty. But outside of that, he did not get a single other reception. The reason why I said earlier that this is pretty telling of Raheem Morris and how he's treating this offense is that I think him not worrying much about the stats. And you can also really go to the post-conference interview and just kind of see his attitude throughout the entire thing. He really seems to believe that we crushed the Saints and that we absolutely dominated them to the point where all that, all that pesky stats, all those intricacies don't really matter because, we got the win. However, when you look at the series of events that happen, you'll notice that our offense is not where it needs to be. And the only reason we got those points is either the defense absolutely killing it today, or moments where the Saints just straight up shot themselves in the foot with a rocket launcher. But speaking of defense, let's go ahead and look at some of the stats. Troy Anderson, he had 9 tackles, 7 assists, and he got that 1 interception that happened later on in the game. D. Alford, he had 8 tackles, 1 assist, and he also got that 1 sack as well. Mike Hughes, he got 7 tackles. Caden Elise, he had 5 tackles, 1 assist. And AJ Terrell, he had 4 tackles and 1 assist. And of course, when it came to special teams, Younghoe Koo absolutely killed it in this game. And he also was the one who clutched that win for us. But yeah. But even though it was a good game and we didn't manage to get the win in the end, there's some things that we need to address. Because, we're going to have to go up against the Buccaneers next week. Or actually, no, not even next week. It's going to be this week on Thursday. So we got to talk about some things that we're going to have to fix. First things first, our rushing defense. I know Alvin Kamara is a pretty good rusher, and here's the thing about Alvin Kamara. He played in this game how Bijan Robinson should be playing. Like, he should be able to cut through the defense and cut through anything like butter. But we're just not getting that from Bijan. We're seeing that more in Alvin Kamara. So, but then we get in someone like Tyler Algier, who is he was able to get that momentum for us. 8 carries for 60 yards. That's about 7 to 8 yards on average. But back to our defense, our rushing defense. We just gotta be better at being able to get guys who are elusive, like Alvin. And we need to like I said in the last episode, we need to establish ourselves as a defense as an iron wall. As we need to establish a much more of a defense, if that makes sense. When it comes to the offense, there are splashes of good moments where Kirk Cousins is able to connect with one of his guys, whether it be Drake London or Darnell Mooney. But my issue, ultimately, is that, like I said, it's not consistent. 60% completion rating is anything but consistent. That's if there's one thing he's being consistent at right now, is being inconsistent. So, and what was funny is, being at the game, I heard a guy yell this constantly, but we paid Kirk Cousins all this money just for him to constantly hand it off to Bijan, constantly hand it off to Tyler, and when it comes to getting good yards, he'll throw a good pass, but then he'll throw some other bad passes as well, enough to get an interception. Yeah, talking about the interception, that actually brings me to another one of my issues with this game. A lot of people last week were calling out the refs, saying that they were blatantly helping out the opponents. I think that was a lie. I think this was a game where the refs truly were trying to help out the opponents. Particularly with one play in which Kirk Cousins was obviously trying to throw to Ray McCloud, but then there was a Saints defender who snagged onto Ray, pushed him to the ground, and then went over and grabbed the ball for an interception, and no flags were thrown. Everybody in the stadium was pissed at this, myself included, and even my dad. My dad's generally a calm guy, but he himself was also mad at this, and this happened on more than one occasion. Now, obviously, in that final drive we had, there was a penalty against the other team, against the Saints, which helped us in the end. So I think what's happening here is, maybe it's not so much the refs being biased, but more just the refs are just being bad at their job. I don't know what is happening this season with the refs. As I'm recording this, I just watched the final few minutes of the Lions and Seahawks game, and I just don't know what is happening. It's always been kind of an issue, but it's just been at its worst this season. I don't know. I feel like other people are also talking about it. A lot of people are also kind of making the argument that the plays themselves are justifiably thrown, or the play calling's not that good. Or there's a lot of talk going on around it. And it's just I think what most people are looking for is consistency in the officiating, and we're just not getting that. So yeah, it's been a frustrating year on that front. And it's definitely something that occurred in this game as well, that I felt like just addressing real quick. As for the Falcons, here's what we need to do heading into week 5. Here's the deal, right? We got the win. Cool. How did we get the win? A lot of the points we got were either from Younghoe Koo or from the defense. Our offense did not create a single touchdown. Now, there's this one play where we almost got a touchdown, and it was with Kyle Pitts. It was like the only time that he caught something and he was able to run in for a touchdown, but that got overturned by a holding penalty. Now, it might have been a legit holding penalty. I honestly do not remember at this point, but, regardless of that, talking about the offense now, not about the officiating. It's just, we need, Kirk Cousins, I say this every week. He still has splashes of having that talent, but he's not performing at a consistent level to where we can really justify the $180 million that we gave him, or are giving him. You see the potential. You see how, you see how it could work out, but it's just we're just not seeing it come to fruition. And it's I think a lot of Falcons fans are losing their patience. It is week 4 now. How many more weeks is it going to take before Kirk Cousins is at the state where he's able to take us to the promised lands, aka the postseason? And it's from what I'm seeing, I just do not see it. I just straight up do not see it. I don't see how 21-35, I don't know. Again, I might be a loser for focusing on the stats, but it really highlights how when you're not looking at the stats and you're more concerned about in the moment, I'm not a coach myself, so I have no authority to tell him how he should or shouldn't coach. But it's one of the things where it's you need to have a solid foundation to rely on in order to take that attitude. And I think there are genuine flaws that are being had with Kirk Cousins that he is just not going to be able to address, because it's just he's doing a fine enough job. And it's that's not good enough. We need to be able, if we, I know a lot of Falcons fans are probably what are you talking about, Dub? We got the win. Isn't that enough? And I'm this is why we kept getting 7-10 standings for the past 3 years. Back when we were with Arthur Smith, it's Arthur Smith he held onto that attitude. And from what it looks like, Raheem Morris, he's also holding on to that attitude of Kyle Pitts, I guess he's there. I guess we can throw it to him sometimes. It's not he's one of our best weapons or anything. That's the attitude that I'm seeing. And it's just, this is not the kind of coaching we need. We have talent, but we're just not utilizing a lot of them. Drake London, Donald Mooney, okay, sure, Tyler Algier, this is what frustrates me. We are once again stuck in this middle ground of it happens every year with, we're not quite so bad that we're going to get high draft capital, but we're also not good enough to make it to the postseason. It's a curse. It just feels like a curse we're stuck in. However, as always, I try to end these videos on some optimism. And, it's hard right now, but I want to continue to hold on to optimism that Kirk Cousins will click, that Zach Robinson will click, that the entire offense will suddenly just click, just like that. However, based on looking at the current patterns that are propping up, it doesn't look like we're going to have a fruitful season. But I am willing to be proven wrong. I am willing to jump on the hype train. I'm always going to be on that hype train, but I'm also going to say realistic. That's my way of looking at games, and that's my way of predicting what's going to happen. And until I can see that the offense is able to click in the ways that other teams like the Lions are clicking, the way that the Vikings are clicking, the way the Chiefs are clicking, the way that Bills are clicking, until I see that, I will always hold this kind of pessimistic view of this cynical view of how we're doing and how the season's going to turn out. But that's about it for me. Thanks for watching. Sorry for getting this out so late. You know, I came back from yesterday. I came back from the game, and I was pretty tired, so I slept the rest of the day. And then next day, you know, I got classes. I'm still a college student at the end of the day, so that's something to keep in mind. But anyways, thanks for watching. See y'all later.